¿Qué pasa, campeones? The time has come. D-Spot is back, and I'm not alone. Welcome back to a revamped D-Spot. And joining me is the former Barça and Swansea legend, my man, Andrea Orlandi.
How are you, Diego? Thank you very much for letting me, be here. And thank you for the Barça and Swansea legend. I love that. I love that introduction.
For me, you're always going to be a Barça legend. Plus, you won a league with Barça, so you're definitely a Barça legend.
I won a league because I played in the league, and I won a Champions League as well because I was on the list. Yeah, that didn't reflect on my bank account later, but because I didn't get any bonuses for that, But on the Wikipedia, it says that I won a Champions League as well. So I'll take that. I'll take that all day long.
If it's on Wikipedia, it's official, Andrea. You won a Champions League
Absolutely.
and a league with Barça. So, bam, one of the biggest Barça legends that I know. I mean, how many ex-Barça players can say that? Honestly, on the serious side, though, I really appreciate that you're willing to embark on this revamped version of D-Spot. We started 3 years ago. I took a long hiatus, and now I'm back with, what I can only describe as the best person I could possibly imagine, and I'm very excited for this. So, thank you, Andrea.
No, thank you. Thank you for thinking about me. I'm very excited as well, and I'm really looking forward to do it. So let's do this.
Absolutely, my man. Let us do this. What we're going to be covering today is topic number 1, Bam, The Last Dance, that beautiful Jordan documentary. Topic 2, Fußball is back. The German Bundesliga is back, and us football fans couldn't be more excited. Let's start talking about The Last Dance. It's come to an end. Episode 9 and 10 were just as amazing and captivating as all of the other ones, really. What was the big standout for you from episode 9, the episode that saw the Bulls, I covered the Bulls facing off the very stiff challenge against the Utah Jazz in the 97 finals. It wasn't easy, of course. It also gave us a glimpse of the 98 semifinals that went all the way to Game 7 against the Indiana Pacers of Reggie Miller and Rick Smits, the successful Dutchman, the dunking Dutchman that played in the NBA. But of course, it also covered the Steve Kerr's story, one of the role players, a very important one at that for the Chicago Bulls.
Well, obviously, lots of talking points. What a docuseries it's been. Absolutely fantastic. I just feel sorry for those, great sportsmen that had the docuseries, or the ones that are thinking about having one now, because it's gonna look that bad. After watching that, I can't think of anyone having something similar. The good thing about this documentary is that you can see the greatness, but also the human side of it, and sometimes some aspects that you might not like about him. But out of episode 9 and 10, episode 9 to start with, I think that the Steve Kerr story, I didn't have a clue. What happened to him, what happened to his dad, moving to Beirut, getting killed. And he found a way to actually, get away from that moment, playing basketball. And he made it to the NBA without being even picked, when he was young. Nobody thought he was going to be a big player. And he had to earn Michael Jordan's respect. So he had to fight back to Michael Jordan during a training practice. Literally, yes, and this was the way he earned that respect, with the training practices, and this is why, in a very important moment, Michael Jordan gave him the ball, to hit the shot and win the 5th ring.
How good was it when he himself mentioned Steve wasn't hitting any of the shots? He was having an awful game, and then the timeout gets called in the 4th quarter, and Jordan's like, "Hey, I'm going to pass you the ball. Be ready." And Steve is like, "I'm going to be ready, man. I'm going to be ready." And it's like the approval that Jordan was like, "Look, I don't give a shit that you're having a bad game. I trust in you. You're my teammate. I'm going to pass you the ball." And Steve like, "I'll be ready. I'll be ready." And then sure enough, Michael Jordan gets doubled. He throws the ball to Steve Kerr, who's more or less at the free throw line, and takes the shot and makes it, which again, he was having a bad game. For Steve Kerr himself as well, is kind of like a sign to say, okay, I do belong here on this team. I can do this. I can fucking play with the best.
And this is for me is being a good teammate. Because he's giving you the chance, to win the title, to be in the headlines, to be a star as well. and it's not only about giving him a hug, just being nice to somebody, but proving it on the floor when it matters. Where there's 5 seconds left and you have to win a title. Yeah, I'll give you the ball because I trust you. And it was great about Michael Jordan is after the game acknowledging and being happy for Steve Kerr, and you could see that was real. It was absolutely real, and I think it's in episode 7 when he says, one thing they can't say about Michael Jordan is he didn't ask you to do what he didn't fucking do first. So he was there, first, setting the example for the rest to go out and deliver. So, I think he was a great leader. I don't care about what people think. He was a bully. I don't care. I just think he was great, and I would have loved to be. Like I've been watching the series and I was jumping off the bed, and I really wanted to be an NBA player after. Like,
same.
I was getting so excited, and I wish I had in my career a leader like him. Someone that could get the best out of you, because that was him.
I think that's why Jordan is and was so unique, because there really wasn't any other athlete or teammate really that was so demanding, not just of himself but of his teammates to that degree. And just looking at some of the footage, I love the behind the scene footage. I love being a fly on the wall, and for example seeing after Jordan beats the Pacers in game 7, it's not even a locker room, it's kind of in the tunnels of the stadium, where Jordan almost secretly meets up with Larry fucking Bird, I mean another massive legend, and they just give each other 5, and you hear Jordan go, "Fuck you, bitch." And you're like, oh my god!
Yeah, now go and practice your golf. I don't know what he says about his golf skills.
Yeah.
Nah, it's just great. I mean, the insight we get from that documentary is just unreal.
But so this is an eternal discussion here in Spain in particular, I think, as well, amongst Barça fans and amongst all sets of fans from all kinds of clubs, really, is the famous mano izquierda against the mano derecha, right? The authoritarian as opposed to the more lenient coach, the more permissive coach. It was the case with Valverde, but we can rewind the tape all the way back to the days of Johan Cruyff, who I think we can classify as a much more authoritarian coach, who maybe also knew what his players needed. Romario, I think, seem to remember, was allowed to go to Brazil, or was allowed to go out because Cruyff knew that he was going to give it his all every single weekend and score 2 or 3 goals. But in the case of Luis Enrique and Pep Guardiola, I have my doubts, and I don't know. I'm simply speaking here from an outside perspective. If we compare somebody the likes of Frank Rijkaard, let's take Frank Rijkaard, and we compare him to Pep Guardiola, would you agree with me that Frank Rijkaard suits more, say, the Phil Jackson model?
100%, because I was there to experience it, and right. I saw how Frank Rijkaard treated the likes of Ronaldinho, for example. Ronaldinho was the Michael Jordan at the time of FC Barcelona.
Absolutely.
And yes, Ronaldinho liked to party. We all know that. Ronaldinho didn't train every day. He wasn't training in the gym. He was probably sleeping on the bed. Just resting.
Yeah.
But then it was the best, every Tuesday in the Champions League, or every Saturday in the league, or every Sunday. So you can't treat every player the same way. And there's managers that can't cope with exuberance. For example, you talked about Pep Guardiola. Pep Guardiola, first thing he did when he took over, Ronaldinho out, Deco out, and he wanted Samuel Eto'o out, and he couldn't get rid of him the first season. And Samuel Eto'o ended up, scoring the goal in the Champions League final, being one of the best performance. Exactly. So it all depends on, you never have the right formula. I loved Frank Rijkaard. I loved him. He was a great man. But what happened was he didn't have, Ronaldinho wasn't Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
There was a time when, I'm not saying he gave up, but he wasn't consistent enough to be the best, every single season. So he was the best for 4 or 5 seasons. And there was a moment where the partying was too much, and his performances, weren't that good. So he didn't have that player, keeping the dressing room together, and going for another title, and another league, and another Champions League. And that was the difference. But I think that Frank Rijkaard was the Phil Jackson of football, and because he had that kind of personality, that kind of, he was like the Zen master, someone that could keep, calm in situations where, 90% of people would panic.
Well, Andrea, football is back. Football is back in the Bundesliga, that is. Everybody was, of course, very excited to see just football take place in general. You and I, we talked about it as well, that maybe now some of the quote-unquote flaws of German football in itself are kind of being more exposed now that the fans are not there. It's empty stadiums, empty seat. It's an eerie, ghostly affair within the stadium. All you hear is a ball being kicked around and a couple of guys yelling at each other, and sometimes a goal going in. But at the expense of all that, there's a lot to be taken away from what was the first match day of the Bundesliga. And I want to share with you, Andrea, my screen here. Let's see if this works. I know you can already see here Hertha's Boyata giving his teammate Marko Grujic a big kiss on the face. I guess this is a two-part question. First, how can we expect the players to respect the social distancing rules? They're talking about here how the players are not allowed to high-five each other. All they're allowed to do is the elbow bump. The elbow bump, by the way, I kind of like the elbow bump. I must say.
I love it. Kind of cool, yeah?
It's like, I don't mind it that much. It's kind of like,
I never had a good handshake, so now I kind of feel I'm very cool every time I see someone.
Yeah, it's like, the elbow bump for me can stay.
If you say, yeah, you're okay to play, then you have to let, players express themselves. I mean, you can't control Boyata wanted to kiss his teammate because he scored a goal. I mean, there will be moments where your heart rate is that high, you are in the heat of the game, that you can't control your emotions. I mean, it's happened to me on the pitch where, I'm very calm and composed in my normal life, and then I kind of lost it, during the game. Then I have a look at myself and I can't recognize myself on the pitch. So how are you going to control this? I mean, yes, you have to set an example, about social distancing. You could see Haaland when he scored this goal, and they had this celebration, like dancing like 3 meters away.
Yeah.
It looked weird to me, like it looked horrible. It was awkward. And then Guerreiro, when he scored as well, and he was looking around and smiling. And I mean, that's not football. I mean, you can't take those emotions and those feelings away from footballers. And I think that as the league goes on and it develops and they keep playing, we'll get back to the normal, behavior of players. At the end of the day, first of all, it's a contact sport.
Yeah.
So what's the point of not celebrating together and then there's a corner and you're marking your man and just jumping, on each other, or when we are on the wall and just touching each other very closely. So it doesn't make sense. If you play, you play. Just let them play, let them celebrate. It's bad enough not having the fans there. And you talked about the Bundesliga. I'm not a big fan of the Bundesliga, and obviously, what makes it nicer is the big stadiums with big crowds. The atmosphere, the physicality as well. So you take the spectators away, you take the physicality away because obviously, fitness-wise, teams are not ready yet. The football you see is not the greatest, but still, I loved it because I was starving for football, and I really wanted to see some action. I just wanted football, and I really enjoyed that. Borussia Dortmund Schalke. If you analyze the game, it was terrible, but then I loved every single minute of it.
Andrea, for culés like you and myself, a couple of days ago marked the 10-year anniversary of not necessarily a fond memory for people like you and me, but for somebody like Samuel Eto'o, well, I don't know how he would feel about it. Samuel Eto'o obviously had a very successful career at Football Club Barcelona, but a few days ago marked his 10-year anniversary where he got to not only knock out Barça of the Champions League, but Inter actually won the Champions League with Jose Mourinho leading the way. When Barça played over at Inter, they lost 3-1, even though Pedrito got Barça on the scoring board first, but it was thanks to goals from Wesley Sneijder. For all of those people that keep saying Schneider in English, Wesley Sneijder is not German. It's pronounced Snyder, not Schneider. We're not Germans, okay? We're Dutch. So goals from Sneijder, Icon, and Milito, who was clearly offside. Andrea, I don't know if you remember Milito's goal.
He was offside. It was clearly offside.
Clearly.
But I have to say, being a Barca fan, that I thought that Inter Milan deserved that win in the first leg.
Totally. They had Barca up against the ropes.
Yes, they had all the possession, they had everything, but Inter had a plan. They knew how to attack and how to exploit, Barca's weaknesses, which were the strengths as well going forward, the fullbacks. But then when they had to run back, they weren't that good.
Let me ask you this though: was it a penalty for you when Dani Alves got taken down by Sneijder?
I don't remember that instance. I don't remember. No. So I'm really sorry. I'm not able to answer
We'll talk
that.
about it next time. Another thing that drove me mad at the time, Andy Gray, the Sky Sports commentator at the time, clearly anti-Barça as well. He would always downgrade and dismiss anything that Barça was doing. I remember there was a massive opportunity. I think it was Pedrito as well. He had a huge header where Julio Cesar performed a miracle save, in all honesty, and Andy Gray saying stuff like, you've got to score that, What I want to talk to you a little bit more about is the second leg in the Camp Nou, where of course it's welcome back Eto'o. It is also welcome back Mourinho and Barça. Well, let's just say they were not on good terms.
The second leg is very interesting because you see Pep Guardiola, he changes the system. He goes with a 3-4-3, all attacking. He's going to control the game even more than the first leg. You have to. Yeah. And then Mourinho, he makes that Mourinho's substitution. So he starts with Chivu instead of Goran Pandev. So you can see, the clash of styles even more. And then that incident after 26, 27 minutes when Thiago Motta is trying to protect the ball. And then he just hits Busquets.
He's protecting the ball.
Listen, and I'll give you an insight on that because I remember the first time Sergio Busquets trained with the first team, I was there. He was only an under 18 player, and he was very skinny, even more than what he is now, and tall. And then Thiago Motta started kind of taking the mick out of him, like Crouchy. He used to call him Crouchy, like the Peter Crouch. And you could see the guy laughing back. But he didn't like that. He didn't like that at all. So I think that he held the grudge. And when he had the chance to back, I said, now it's my turn. So now I'm gonna get you out of this game. And then you see the reaction of Thiago Motta, absolutely pissed. But Busquets, did his job. I'm not saying it was the right thing to do, but then Inter are down to 10, and then he was giving that look.
Famous meme.
It was funny.
Famous meme.
And then he was just defending for the rest of the game for Inter Milan. Samuel Eto'o playing as a fullback, really. I was gonna say wingback, but it was more like a fullback.
I don't know if it's a wingback or a fullback. It didn't really matter because Inter was all the way back for the rest of the match anyway, for the remaining, hour at least. Yeah.
But they defended really well, I have to say, Diego. Because that Barça was very difficult to cope with, to play against that Barça. They dominated every single game. They created chances out of nowhere. They were forced to taking shots from outside the area. And the clear opportunities, they had that header from Bojan. I don't know if you remember Bojan coming on.
Bojan has a clear, but already before Messi actually has one of his trademark curlers that again he like Julio Cesar performs an absolute.
That's incredible. That's the best save I've seen in a long time. And the goal from Piqué is just incredible. That piece of skill, unbelievable.
And in fact, and that goal. We saw that, was it before or after he scored basically the same identical goal in the 6-2? That must have been the season before, right? In the 6-2, where he does that turn, takes out the whole Inter defense, including Julio Cesar. Does a little turn and scored the goal.
He had that turn, Gerard Piqué. He had that skill.
Yeah.
An unbelievable goal. I mean, if Messi scored that, you would talk about it, for years to come. And I kind of forgot about it. I had to watch it back.
Yeah.
It was an unreal piece of skill, and still, 7 minutes to go, and Inter like they're defending for their lives, and we had that disallowed goal from Bojan.
So let's talk about that. Let's break down a little bit that disallowed goal, because today and age, would that goal stand or would that goal have been disallowed? Obviously, Sneijder tries to clear the ball. Instead of clearing the ball, he shoots the ball against Yaya Touré's hand. Yaya Touré has got his hand sort of on his chest belly area. It hits him on the hand. I mean, it hits maybe like his pinky finger or the ring finger. Let's be generous here, but it does, I think, hit him on the hand. Is it a handball? Would it stand? Should Barça have gone through? Yes or no?
Listen, it's very difficult to say that. They were very close. There was no chance that Yaya Touré could get the hand out of the way. It didn't change the direction of the ball. So yes, Barça should have gone through.
Would they have beaten Bayern Munich in the final?
They would have.
Yeah?
They would have. Yes, absolutely. Because Don't forget that the Barça at the Bernabeu, they play even better at the Camp Nou. So they would have loved playing at the Bernabeu and listening to the Barça anthem after the game, as they did in the Copa del Rey a few years before. I don't know if you remember.
Of course.
They had the Barça anthem, at the Bernabeu. Playing after winning the Spanish Cup.
Yeah. No, of course I remember that.
But it wasn't to be. It wasn't to be.
You know what? And I remember I was trying to console myself, thinking, you know what? Maybe it's better this way. It's for the best, because me as half Dutchman and the history between Holland and Germany, I was fearing a loss against the German team in the Bernabeu more than losing against Inter. So I was kind of making peace with myself, saying, you know what? I think we would have lost anyway in the final against Inter. So maybe it's for the best.
No, I thought that Barca, they were red hot favorites to win the Champions League once again, and they were the best team in Europe by a mile. And there's some small details that change the story. That handball, that offside of Diego Milito, and then Inter were crowned champions. And listen, of course, I said that Barca should have gone through, but they deserved it. Come on, it was big for Italy. Myself being Italian, my parents are Italian, so it was a big achievement for an Italian club, and credit to Inter Milan as well.
Man, we said that we were going to initially sit here and talk for 15 minutes. Then we said, okay, let's try half an hour. We are literally approaching the hour mark. So I'm going to... a lot of editing work for me.
All the best.
Yes. No, but listen, man, I appreciate you taking the time. This is the first of many for all the viewers. I hope you enjoyed it as well. Make sure you follow Andrea right there. Mine is right here. This is for Instagram and Twitter. Make sure you give us a follow. For the patrons, you will get the full, unedited, unfiltered version on Patreon. And it's only going to cost you a couple bucks. Easy peasy. Please do it. Give us a follow, and we will see you next week. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.